Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report is your preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda and an update from your Oshkosh City Manager. Your hosts, Emily Mikowski of Oshkosh Community Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report. My name is Emily Mikowski, your host, and as always I'm joined by Mark Roloff, your City Manager, and we're going to give you a little bit of an update around Oshkosh and a preview of the council meeting agenda coming up this Tuesday, January 14th at 6 p.m. So Mark, as always, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, great to be here, Emily.
Took
Happy
a little
New
bit
Year.
of a break, yes, Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a little while, and that means we have a ton to talk about today. We've got a stacked list of things to talk about. So let's get right to it. First on our list here is a tax credit press release that just recently went out having to do with your property tax, the lottery and gaming tax. What can you tell us about that?
Well, we've gotten questions from members of the public who may not have that lottery credit on their tax bill. So really what we want to do is make sure people look at their tax bill to make sure the lottery credit's there. For the most part, I'd say 99% of the people have it on there. So it's really not an issue. But just take a look at your tax bill and make sure that there's a little deduction at the bottom of your tax bill that shows the credit there. And if it is, don't even listen to what the rest I have to say. But if you don't have it, certainly go to our website for more information. We have some information there. The forms you can download. If you've already paid your tax bill and you didn't have the credit, you can still apply for it. Just come back and just, it takes a little time to process that paperwork, but we can't give it to you unless you ask for it if you don't already have it. So please take a look at it. It's only one per person, so if you've got two residences, you can't get two credits. It's for your primary residential property. So we want to make sure people take advantage of it. It's available for everybody throughout the state. So take a look at it and see if you qualify.
And like you said, all the information is actually right now on the front page of the city's website. There's a hot topic there, and you can find where exactly to look on your bill for that lottery tax, as well as the form itself if you are looking to receive it, if it's not on there. So it's all right there for you.
Very easy.
Moving on, we've got an open house coming up here on some new design standards, and this is having to do with two kind of levels of design standards. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the Plan Commission, the City Council, and the Landmarks Committee had a work session late last year to discuss the different standards that they feel need to be incorporated to preserve some of the historic designs that we have. So we're having an open house to talk about what's being proposed, what the Plan Commission, Council, and Landmarks Commission's already talked about, but it's going to be next Wednesday, January 15th, over at the Senior Center. We're going to have a brief presentation at 6 o'clock, and the open house is going to start at 6:30, so you can talk to staff about it. But the two levels that you referred to, one is going to be a standard that's going to exist throughout the city. Real basic types of things. They're really more in the property maintenance category, but it's maintaining some consistency with different areas. But then there's a second level of standards that it's primarily for residents grouped together in a certain neighborhood that want to have similar type standards. And so it's primarily going to be driven by the residents themselves. And if they want to have these additional standards, they'd really be, if you live in a newer subdivision in town, you might have some covenants that are on your property. It would be very similar to something like that. Again, the property owners would really have a large say in how that's done. They're a little higher standards, and it's not saying that you have to do it a certain way, but there's certain levels, certain standard that they'd want to have. It doesn't mean you have to use historically completely accurate type of materials, but it keeps in keeping with what's there. But we're going to have an open house to explain those things. If you live in an older neighborhood, if you live in one of our target neighborhoods, you probably want to go to this and find out, what things might work for your neighborhood or might not work for your neighborhood to get ideas. So I know some of the neighborhoods are encouraging their fellow neighbors to go, but we're hoping that residents in general just come out.
And again, that is, when is that? This Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday, January 15th, from 6:30 to 7:30. And the open house, you're free to come and go as you please, ask questions, give your even comments and concerns, that kind of thing. So.
Right. We're going to have a little presentation right at 6 o'clock so you can get the basics. If you want to stick around and ask specific questions, the staff will be there for that other hour so you can talk to them about it. I think you'll learn a lot about it.
Excellent. So on to our next item here, the Pioneer property. Now, I feel like we talk about this every city manager's report, and it's really a hot topic. You get asked a lot of questions about it. And this time, some news came in. The UWO Business Success Center is going to be studying that and giving us some information, if you want to elaborate a little bit.
This has been going on for a long time, and I know the residents have some real concerns about this because it's frustrating to see something that used to be so wonderful just having fallen on hard times. But we had discussions with the property owner, and the property owner I don't think wants to invest a lot of money, which disappoints me to some degree, but I understand it. So the UWO Business Success Center is partnering with us to take a look at some best practices from other communities that have similar type of waterfront property and find out what can be done, do a little business analysis of what can be done with the marina itself, as well as the Pioneer Island where the hotel had previously existed, and just take a look at what's successfully been done to redevelop the site. So we're hoping that they'll be able to give us some information and some studies that we can share with the owner and maybe share with prospective buyers of that site so that they might be able to take a look at the feasibility of improving this property. We think the property needs to get a little, gets a little more attention paid to it. It is in a bit of a state of disrepair. The marina is certainly in a state of disrepair, even though it's actively being used. But you can just see weeds growing out of the concrete and the asphalt. It really is unsightly, and it's a gorgeous location. And I just think that if we do a little market research and show what could be done there very feasibly from an economic standpoint, that maybe either the owner or a potential buyer would talk to him about doing something with the property.
And I think what's so special about this is that they're evaluating practices that have already been done and been successful. So I think that kind of drives it home a little bit too.
Right, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. It's tried and true practices, and we're hoping that they'll want to do that with us.
Excellent. And speaking of different, it's the Pioneers right on the river. So we're going to move on and talk about some Riverwalk things. The Riverwalk grants we've recently acquired here. First off, in the Geldwin area. Can you tell us about that one?
Sure. Well, anytime we talk about the Riverwalk, we've always been very successful the last few years getting grants, and we've got 2 more grants that are coming up. One we had to shuffle around a little bit over at the Geldwin property. We've been talking to the new owners out there, and there's a site over there east of Oregon that seems to have a little more definition to what they want to do over there. And the DNR is willing to move this grant. It's $963,000 to build on that site. So we're real excited about that. And then the property you see here is actually on the left side is known as the Boatworks property. And this property the city already owns, the Redevelopment Authority. And we've got a grant of about $500,000 to build a bridge over there, but we're also talking to them about the property immediately to the west of that little marina area on the upper left part of the screen there, and they're willing to give us an additional $363,000 to leverage the money that we already have from the grant as well as money that we're putting into the site. And we're hopefully going to be adding some amenities there, such as a restroom and a playground area to make it a little more family friendly, and then make use of the Riverwalk and everything. And then of course we do have those archways from the old railroad bridge that we're planning to put there as well. So
it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is. The south side of the Riverwalk is going to take a little longer because, quite honestly, there's a lot more physical challenges there. The seawall there isn't as strong as it was on the north side, so there's a lot more replacement there. A lot more of it's in private hands rather than public hands, so we have to work through agreements with the owners. So far, the owners have been very helpful with that, and I anticipate that continuing. But we're going to keep working on the Riverwalk, but just probably a little slower than we've been doing the last few years. But these grants really go a long way in helping us get that done. Okay,
so now how you described the playground, bathrooms, maybe some parking, that's not going to cost any additional money than what was allocated, is it?
Correct. We budgeted about $1.5 million for 2014. supplemented in part by a $500,000 grant, and this $363,000, we're going to able to shift our monies around so that it can qualify for some of these other amenities and not cost us any extra money. So we're real excited that we're able to leverage our own local tax dollars with these grant dollars.
Mm-hmm. Great. Switching gears here a little bit, just a reminder for Christmas tree pickup. Do you want to give us a little bit of the notes on that?
Well, we've already started with Christmas tree pickups. So get your trees out if at all possible, if you have the live trees. We're going to continue through the week of January 13th, but please make sure that it's not buried in snow. It's right now it might be frozen in the snow after all we've had, but make sure you get rid of any plastic bags, all the decorations, lights, tinsel, all that junk. Get that off of there so we can, because we shred those trees and put them back in as landfill cover. So it's put to good use, but we can't have all that nasty stuff in there. Take this tree stand off, things like that. But we'll continue collecting the week of January 13th if you haven't already gotten your tree out. So something we do every year.
And that'll be the same day as garbage and recycling collection.
Yeah, that's right. The same day as your garbage or recycling will be the same day you'll get your tree picked up.
Great. And some more exciting news that we have is Wisconsin Public Television is planning to do a special documentary on Oshkosh. And you actually just told me about this yesterday, and this is big news.
Yeah, I found out actually from somebody not even associated with the city, but Wisconsin Public Television has been doing these features on communities throughout the state, and they just got some funding, and the next city on their list is Oshkosh, and so they're going to be holding a series of community conversations. What they're looking for are ideas on stories of Oshkosh that help preserve and share stories of Oshkosh and Winnebago County with the entire state. So they're going to have these listening sessions where they're going to get ideas. The first one is on January 17th at 10 a.m. over at the Payne Arts Center. Then they're going to flip across the street over to the Public Museum at 1:30 that same day. So morning or afternoon that day, or the Monday after that, January 27th, from 5 to 6:30 at our public library. So if you can't make it during the day, you can come during the evening. But the idea is they're looking for ideas to tell stories of Oshkosh and hoping that residents come out and share those stories that will help them create this wonderful program. So we're really proud that they've selected Oshkosh and looking forward to what the final product might be. And
anyone's welcome to come to these conversations. I'm sure there's a lot of people from around Oshkosh that would be interested in coming and sharing different stories that they might have interest in for this.
Oh, absolutely. Anybody who has anything that they want to share, even if you don't think it's that significant, don't sell yourself short. I would come to the event and share stories and see where they run with it. It's funny how sometimes a little story can go a long way.
Great, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that all plays out and watching the special. So now it is time for one of my favorite parts of City Manager's Report is Question Mark, where you can email your City Manager, Mark Roloff, a question you'd like to be asked, and he can answer it on the program.
It's interesting how this has come up because it's in our capital improvement plan for the next couple of years. But it's I think there's a misconception out there that the Marion Road Water Tower is only needed to be replaced because some people consider it not very pretty. Well, you can have that opinion. You can not have that opinion. That's a matter of opinion, but it's not because it's ugly or not ugly that it needs replacement. The water tower was erected in 1936, so it's nearing 80 years old, and that is pretty much the economic life of a water tower. And we do need a water tower in the central part of the city for water pressure, for daily use, as well as fire flow, which is probably the most important. So this person up there is probably doing some general inspections that we're required to do. So as we do these inspections, we find things that we have to report to the Department of Natural Resources, and that's what drives this. So we have an option to take a look at perhaps rehabbing the water tower, but it would only give it a life of about 25 years, and it costs almost as much as replacing the tower itself. So why would you put that little bit of money into just 25 years when you put the whole amount of money, you could be given it a life of 100 years. So it's just more cost effective to do it that way. I know some people would prefer that the water tower not be there at all because it stands out. There's so many neat things going on in the downtown area, but the reality is that a tower will likely need to remain in that general vicinity. And here, as we look along the river, you can see, because of the lattice structure that it has, it does look a little unsightly in that area as new things get to develop. But there are sleeker versions of water towers that we can take a look at down the road. But we do need a tower in this area to maintain water pressure, and public safety is primary in that. So you're probably not going to get rid of it, but you will see it replaced because it just needs, its time has come, and economically it's just the best thing to do.
And the question I have is, has a decision been made on whether we're replacing it or rehabbing it? So we are for sure replacing it.
We are planning to replace it. The design of what it would be replaced with, that hasn't been decided yet. And we can take a look at that and get input from the community on the different designs and what they think might be best, but it does need replacement.
Excellent. So that was a great question, and we're looking forward to seeing what the replacement will end up looking like, but that's a few steps ahead. So it's time to take a break here on City Manager's Report, and when we come back, we'll give you a preview of the City Council meeting agenda for this Tuesday, January 14th at 6 p.m. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi, I'm Mayor Bergtower, and I'm asking for your help. The city has several boards and commissions that play important roles in just about every aspect of local government. Whether it's the Parks Board or the Landmarks Commission, these and other boards act as a forum for citizens to address their concerns and questions about Oshkosh city government. The boards also provide members the opportunity to make positive suggestions to the council or city staff to move the city forward. So here's where we need your help. For our city to work effectively, we need active citizen participation. Many of our boards and commissions currently need members. We're asking for just a few hours of your time each month to serve on one of our boards or commissions and help to ensure a strong democratic process. So please consider serving on a city board or commission. For an application, visit the city website, stop by the city manager's office in City Hall, or call 236-5000. Thank you for your interest, and we look forward to your possible involvement.
Thanks again for joining us on your City Manager's Report. Again, I'm here with Mark Roloff, your City Manager, and it is that time of the show to go through our City Council meeting agenda for this Tuesday, January 14th. So Mark, first up on the agenda, actually before the meeting, is a workshop on special events. What can you tell us about that?
Well, this has been going on for a little while. We had our special event ordinance adopted in 2010, and it didn't get effective until 2011, but since that time, 6 of our 7 council members have been replaced. So there's a lot of history that the council, I think, needs to know about the history of why the special event ordinance was adopted in the first place, what it was intended to fix, and then where we are today with it, some of the concerns that staff has, some of the concerns that council members have expressed to us, as well as the public and the business community in general about special events. So we want to give that historical perspective and then take a look forward at what some of the issues are out there and how we go moving forward. Do we develop criteria? I think the biggest thing is the number of special events, the impact it has on staffing, as well as the impact that the public sees on the use of public parks, and maybe a concern that maybe we have too many events and we're taking the enjoyment of parks away from the public. Those are some of the issues that are out there that I think will be discussed.
Okay, and I know you mentioned the personnel, and also another issue was maybe, who's making these decisions. So that's a conversation that would probably be had in this workshop, correct?
Right, because staff has not been given direction in the ordinance to judge the quality of the events. And so is that something that council wants to take a look at? Do they want us to take a look at it? And that's a tougher issue because then you're getting a little bit into the judgment area, and that's something I think council needs to give staff some direction on.
And again, that will be at 4:45 right before the city council meeting. Moving on to the next item here, for a partial bid award to Lunda Construction for the boatwork section of the Riverwalk Bridge. Now, I'm noticing it says partial. Why is it partial? I mean, it says it's over $1 million here. So
it's a big partial. What we talked about earlier and the graphic that was shown, it's that area where that island is where the old marina to the boatworks property was, and that area, there's going to be a bridge that's going to go across and land on the island and then go to the east as it goes towards that parking lot where the Jelvin property is. The idea is that it takes quite a bit of time to order that bridge and get it. It's a partial pre-built. So we want to make sure some of that gets done, and because of the lead time associated with it, we want to get ordering that. And then the other part is that $363,000 grant that I mentioned, we haven't had it officially awarded, and we do need to work on those issues, and we need to know that grant is in the bag before we start working on the other property immediately to the west of the boatworks property. So the idea is that we get started, and then we find out if we get the grant. If we get the grant, which we feel really good about, then we know what to do final design on and bid out, versus if we didn't get the grant, we'd have to cut back on various parts of the project. So we want to make sure that we got the bird in hand before we start spending the money.
excellent. So kind of just waiting to make sure everything's qualified. Like you said, bird in the hand, all your ducks are in a row before you get started on anything for that.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to item number 14, having to do with Bird City, different levels of designation that we have here, and you were telling me earlier today that we are at the highest level right now for that.
Yeah, we're considered, Bird City, Wisconsin is an organization really that wants to promote communities that create habitat that are appropriate and healthful for the bird population. And there's different levels, and after 3 years we actually achieved the highest level, known as a high flyer. And there's a variety of things we do. We certainly help celebrate International Migratory Bird Day, which is one of the conditions, but it's maintaining areas that migratory birds can take advantage of as they migrate from one area to the other. And we've done a really good job with that, and we're real pleased that our Sustainability Advisory Board has taken the leadership role in doing that. So we want to renew our designation, so we want to apply for it, and we have to meet certain standards, but we believe we'll continue to have that highest high flyer designation. So we're real proud of that.
Great, and also within this item I see that designating May 3rd as International Migratory Bird Day.
And part of that is us celebrating that and having educational programs to celebrate what we do in terms of maintaining habitat for those birds.
Excellent. So the very next item, item number 15, having to do with Lourdes Academy and their expansion. What can you tell us about that?
Well, a lot of people may be curious about what's going on over there. Lourdes has purchased some property up to where the Citizens First Credit Union was on Sawyer Street, and they've got a master plan for that area. They've worked with city staff and the Plan Commission. Their campus is going to go all the way up to Southland Avenue. So it's a pretty sizable area. They're going to be adding some K through 5 schools onto the campus, and so this is the culmination of a process that we've been working with them for several months now, and they've been great to work with. And I know a lot of people are curious about what's going on over there, so thought we could mention that today.
Yes, and this item is actually also accompanied by item number 42 on the council agenda, also pertaining to the expansion with Lourdes Academy.
Right, that's the zoning, so we want to make sure they both get approved together so they work hand in hand.
Excellent. So then the item right after that then, number 16, is a special assessment for completion of construction. You talked about this in the budget. What's the update on that?
Well, some of the council members, it was based on an auditor's statement during our annual audit that we were not getting our bills out for special assessments in a timely manner, and that was a fair criticism. And I had challenged staff to get those bills out and up to date. And fortunately, we are up to date. And that becomes a cash flow problem, no different than a business not getting their bills out. They're not going to get any money coming in. And we were running short, and we've done so many projects over the last couple of years. It was a little bit overwhelming on that side because we weren't used to sending out that many bills. I think we fixed that problem, but the council wanted to make sure that it was very clear, and so Councilor Herman, Deputy Mayor Herman, asked that this be put on as an official policy to sort of put us on notice that there is an expectation about getting these bills out promptly, and I agree with that observation that he made, and so we've got it on the agenda, and we're going to correct this for the future.
Excellent. Moving on to item number 19, approving charges for services for special events in 2014, kind of updating the fee schedule here a little bit. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the special event ordinance that we're going to be talking about earlier in the meeting, when the ordinance was adopted, this part I think has gone very well. We have a good fee structure, and part of it is that we update it annually. So this is just something to comply with that ordinance to make sure that we recover our costs for these special events. So this is just our annual renewal of those fees, and I think people are pretty understanding about what our fees are and why we have them. They're for specific services. All we're trying to do is recover the cost.
Mm-hmm. And relating to that, after this item, I mean, a huge chunk of the council agenda is devoted to approval of special events, which really shows how, I mean, Oshkosh, the event city, it just shows how much is going on and coming up here.
Yeah, 17 special events just at this meeting alone.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're going to be busy.
All the way through item number 36. The next item that we want to talk about, item number 43, it's a huge homegrown success story. I know we were really excited to go over this today in CMR. What can you give us a little background on it?
Well, this is a grant through the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. It's called a Community Investment Program grant, and what it's intended to do is assist businesses that want to expand, add jobs, invest in building in the community. And this homegrown business that we're referring to is a company called Dealer Fire. A lot of people may not be familiar with it, but it's quietly been booming over at the corner of Division and Algoma right here in downtown Oshkosh. And they provide website services for the automobile dealer industry. And they have thousands of clients, to my understanding. And they currently have about 75 employees, and they're literally bursting at the seams. So they have invested in a building in downtown Oshkosh and have applied for a grant to assist them. And this grant is for $250,000 that will go into the building to help it grow. There are about 75 employees now. My understanding is they're going to be able to grow to 125 employees. This is a web-based company, so a modern economy type of job right in downtown Oshkosh, rehabbing an historic building. It's the old Kits printing building. That building hasn't been used in a few years, so they're going to clean it out, and the upper floors are going to be used for the business itself. The lower floor is going to be used for local retail, and they've purchased the King Cliff lot almost next door to it, so they got good parking.
I think that's huge too. With that many employees, I'm surprised. I mean, I don't even know how they can find parking right now for all those people.
And it's going to be wonderful. And the investment that they're putting in, reinvesting in an historic building, and the state was excited to hear about this project, and it qualified for their grant program, and it has to go through the city, but we're assisting them, and the chamber assisted them a great deal. Chamber of Commerce assisted Dealer Fire in getting the historic tax credits as well as doing the preliminary work for this grant. Now we're going to have to administer it, and that's part of the grant approval process. They want to know that we're supportive of it, and we're as excited as all get out about it.
Yes, it's so amazing how fast this small local business has grown. And is there any kind of timetable on it?
I think you're going to see starting this year. It's going to be a 2014 project that we're real excited with.
Excellent. So it looks like we are just about out of time here. So again, the City Council meeting and budget public hearing, just the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, January 14th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on City Cable 10 and on our website, oshkoshcommunitymedia.org. Make sure to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for community and government programming. And don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. Thanks again for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.